Yo, it's Rob here from Showdown, and recently we talked about finding the strongest anime character and also the smartest anime character. But you guys have asked me, well, Rob, who's the best written anime character? So we're gonna start with the main characters in anime first, and then we can branch out from there. Guys, the Discord is now available. Please click the link in the description down below to join. Let's get right into it. First up, we have Kenshin Himura going up against Naruto Uzumaki. This one is a tough one to start, man. We already know that Kenshin Himura is one of the greatest samurai of all time. Obviously, they call him the Batosai, and that's not for no reason. But the way he was written, his story was really him holding back throughout the entire series until he had to box Shishio at the end. Naruto's story is a little bit different because he had to develop over time. Naruto's goal was to become the Hokage. Kenshin was already starting off as a Hokage character, trying to figure out what to do from his day-to-day life. And if we talk about importance in the series, as important as Kenshin Himura was to the Rurouni Kenshin verse, Naruto is definitely much more important. Played a huge role in the 4th Great Ninja War, played a huge role in changing how Konoha operated and the entire ninja world operated, and he literally had to box against Kaguya, who was seen as the mother of all chakra. I gotta go with Naruto here. Jotaro going up against Tanjiro. Oh my gosh. Here's the thing, when I'm looking at one of the most dominant JoJo characters of all time, it is definitely Jotaro Kujo. He is elite, not only in part 3, but he was putting in work in part 4, and we know he did a little bit of some in part 6 as well. But Jotaro Kujo is a very calculated and dominant character. You knew when the squad was struggling, you just had to hold and wait until Jotaro pulled up because he was going to get the W. That's how Jotaro moved. And Star Platinum being a relative stand to the world was also a very, very cool thing to watch. But when you're looking at Tanjiro, I can't lie, the character development from Tanjiro is otherworldly at this point. Again, Tanjiro was somebody that couldn't box, couldn't do anything, had his whole family stripped from him, and his sister was turned into a demon. To now we are talking about Tanjiro possibly being Hashira level, at least in the anime. In the manga, obviously he's much stronger, but Tanjiro has grown so much as a character. He understands the importance of taking down Muzan now. He understands the importance of boxing with upper moons, and now he's no longer shying away from the action. He actually wants to be a part of it because he believes that he will be able to turn the tide in battle. Tanjiro really had the mindset of a Hashira way before he was even considered to be on their level. I think I gotta go with Tanjiro in this instance. Boruto going up against Takamichi. If I speak, oh my gosh. Early parts of Boruto, there may have been a debate, but now Boruto has gotten so much better. He understands his importance just like Tanjiro. He's able to develop, but Takamichi, again, I've been on the record saying that Takamichi has gone through so much as a character. You have Kisaki Teita antagonizing you over the past and the future. I mean, he is that dangerous of a villain and an antagonist in this series. We understand that, but Takamichi could definitely have changed the situation if he just got into the boxing gym. If he just asked Draken and teach him how to fight. If he just asked Mikey, hey, is this how you throw a punch? I mean, a lot of people would have been saved if Takamichi learned how to fight. That's the bottom line. I don't think he's a terribly written character because I do sympathize with him going through all of those things, but Boruto understands that to save the world, it's time to get into the gym. You have Takamichi out here not knowing what to do and he's still scrambling. And that is an issue for me whenever I'm watching Tokyo Revengers. I think when you're looking at Boruto, he went through his phase with the scientific ninja tools and then he realized, okay, let me lock in now. I'm going with Boruto Uzumaki. Yep, Oma going up against Asta. This might be Black Clover bias, but I think this is an Asta stomp. When you look at Asta's character, I mean, you can make a case that he's very similar to Naruto in the fact that he wants to become the Wizard King and he's been looked down upon because he didn't have a grimoire out to start. But then you start to realize that, oh, okay, he's arcane. Oh, okay, he has a demon inside of him. Oh, okay, now he's actually one of the most important characters in the verse. And now everybody is scrambling, calling Asta's name because they need arcane magic users to go into battle. So obviously, I think Asta wins this one. Shinra going up against Inuyasha. Ooh, this one's a very tough one because I love both of these characters. I think Inuyasha, being a half demon, having to deal with his brother Sesshomaru looking down on him for a lot of the series, being conflicted with Kagome because he's always thinking of Kikyo. He had a lot more to deal with starting off than Shinra. In Shinra's case, he also had issues with his brother's show, but I believe Shinra definitely had a better supporting cast for the most most part than Inuyasha. Special Company 8 is elite. Not saying we don't love Sango, not saying we don't love Miroku, but Shinra's supporting cast definitely helps out in this conversation a little bit. I think Inuyasha had a harder start, and he also developed a little bit better because of that. Shinra did not develop as much as a character because he had more given to him starting off. Of course, they both had issues with their brothers, but I think what Inuyasha had to go through with Sesshomaru actually carried a little bit more weight for me personally than what Shinra had to go through with Sho. I'm gonna take Inuyasha here. Yato going up against Goku. Oh my god. Yato used to be one of the most dangerous gods, the god of calamity, and then he fell off, lost all of his hype. We see there's characters in the series that try to bring it out of him, try to make him go back to his evil ways, but he has been turning from that life. But because he turned from that life, he dropped in stock. A lot of the gods look down on him. He does not have a lot of hype to his name anymore, but it really is him meeting Hiyori that actually changed his life. Hiyori is making him feel more important. Hiyori is actually finding a reason for Yato to keep on going, keep on living, keep on pushing. Goku doesn't need that. Goku has that already built in. Goku already knows why he wants to be here, why he wants to keep fighting, why he wants to keep pushing. Now, you can make a case that Goku is dumb sometimes, and he has put the world in compromising positions. You can bring up how he gave Cell the Senzu Bean. You could bring up how he went to the Omni King and suggested the Torment of Power. There's a lot of things Goku has done that have been off the wall, 100%. But Goku has also always delivered. I gotta go with Goku here as much as I love Yato. Next up, we have Sakamoto going up against Kuroko. Now, this is Sakamoto coming from Haven't You Heard? I'm Sakamoto. I have not heard. I'm going with Kuroko, respectfully. Jolene going up against Kaneki. Oh my gosh, this video is tough, man. Okay. For Jolene, when she first got to the scene, a lot of people were looking down on her because her stand ability was not as OP as some previous JoJo characters. But when you look at it, Jolene is actually a perfect mix. She has the wits of a Joseph. She has the tenacity of a Jotaro. And we know that because Jotaro literally went to the prison to check up on her and make sure she was okay. And we found out that Jolene was actually more than okay. And we look at the villains that she had to box against. Yes, Pucci was able to get Maiden Heaven off, but are you kidding me? Look at what Jolene had to deal with. Jolene had to deal with enemies from the past, enemies from the future, all these different things. Jolene is one of the best in this series. It's unfortunate that she had to go up against Kaneki in the first round, because Kaneki, from a character development standpoint, is arguably one of the best of all time. We understand what Kaneki had to go through early on, what Jason put him through, but Kaneki's importance in Tokyo Ghoul, growing strictly from that, is one of the greatest things that we've seen in anime. Kaneki was a regular guy that got thrown into becoming a ghoul, and now you're talking about he's one of the stronger characters in the verses, with one of the greatest Kaguna is. You have to give Kaneki some credit. I'm going with Kaneki here. Natsu going up against Yuji Itadori. This is another tough one. A lot of people out there sleep on Natsu because they say he's a very basic character. I am not a part of that camp. I do think that Natsu has been able to shake the early criticisms of him just relying on the power of friendship in the Fairy Tail Guild and all of these things. Natsu was really able to shake that once we found out about his relationship to Zerif and E&D Natsu, and we got to see all of that stuff as well. But the difference between Natsu and Yuji is that Yuji had to deal with more early on, and he was developing through that while having Sukuna inside him as well. Natsu had the entire Fairy Tail Guild. He had Igneel, he had all these people, and one of his worst situations is he had to fight his brother Zerif at the end of the story. But when you're looking at Yuji was going through the motions already, finding out that he's knocked off a couple of his siblings already while he's been going on, not even knowing what's been happening. Sukuna takes over his body every now and then, and once Yuji comes back to his senses, he realizes the damage that Sukuna has done, and it looks like it's all on his name. Carrying that guilt and having to push forward in the Jujutsu Kaisen verse is ridiculous when they're literally putting out an order to have you knocked off the face of the earth. You got to look at Yuji and say you are a powerful character, knowing that even though you feel guilty that Sukuna has killed off a lot of people with your body, you still have to push forward and try to protect people as you move on. Natsu did not have to deal with all of that weight that Yuji's dealing with, nor did he develop as far as Yuji has in his series as well. I don't think Natsu is a bad character. I just think that Yuji is better written and he's more important to the JJK verse than Natsu is to Fairy Tail. Going with Yuji. Ash Ketchum going up against Alucard. Now, Now, to the Alucard people out there, we know he is an incredible character, but are we talking about how iconic these characters are? Because we just saw Goku pass, we saw Naruto pass as well, and them being iconic characters does play a role. If we add in how iconic these characters are, I think we would have to go with Ash. But if we talk about who's the better written character, who has more W's across the board, it is without a doubt Alucard, and I feel like that is the best way to handle this situation. Rimuru going up against Josuke. I love Josuke's character personally, and when you talk about him having to battle one of the greatest villains in JoJo history, that being Yoshikage Kira, I think you have to look at Josuke and say, you're incredible as well. I mean, to turn somebody like Okuyasu into one of the greatest sidekicks in JoJo history, to have funny moments like pressing people about your hair, you gotta go with Josuke. I think he's just a complete character overall. Baki going up against Senku. I love Baki. Trust me, it's just unfortunate what he has to deal with in the first round. Senku is literally one of the greatest characters of all time, hands down, trying to really restart the world from scratch. And he's been able to galvanize a whole group of people and put them to work and make an entire ecosystem out of what's left on Earth. It's ridiculous. And Senku is one of those characters that's able to use talk no jutsu without really even talking. He just convinces people to team up with him when they see what he's been able to make through the Kingdom of Science. I'm going with Senku 100%. Sun Jin Woo going up against Giorno. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not caught up on solo leveling manhwa, but I am caught up on the anime. Based on what I've seen so far, I think maybe towards the end of the series, I would probably have to go with Sun Jin Woo, because it does look like his character development is heading in that direction. Obviously, he started off as an E rank hunter, everyone was looking down on him, but now he's so confident, he's using commands like Arise and getting an entire shadow army. He's here, he's elite now. But Giorno came onto the scene being him. Giorno knew he was elite from day one. Giorno had that energy and he was not backing down from really anybody. But the reason why I say that I believe Sun Jin Woo possibly might surpass Giorno by the end of the solo leveling anime, at least. I know for the manhwa readers out there, you guys probably already have Sun Jin Woo over Giorno. I just think by the way it's heading, by being an anime only in solo leveling, Sun Jin Woo as kind of the main character is more fit to be in that leadership role. Whereas Giorno, even though he is the main character, he was really relinquishing a lot of his power to a Bruno Bucciarati, who is really pulling the strings a lot of the time. Giorno does not advance as far without Bucciarati holding it down. Sun Jin Woo was really moving on his own. It's in the name, solo leveling. There was nobody there to hold his hand. You know what? I'll just go with Sun Jin Woo based off that. Even though I don't know fully on the manhwa side of things, I think just based off what I just said, it's still Sun Jin Woo to me. Midoriya going up against Junta. I think I gotta go with Midoriya here. No questions. He's one of the most developed characters that we've seen. Deku again was a character that got looked down upon, that obviously he was blessed by All Might. All Might passed down the power to him, but that was only because All Might was able to see that Deku was a character that had a big heart and he felt like he would be the perfect fit to have one for all. But seeing what Deku was able to overcome while he was in his vigilante phase, that did it for me. I'm taking Deku. Luffy going up against Gon. This one might be One Piece bias. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, a lot of people out there do look down on Gon. I'm not one of them. I think Gon is a very, very great character, but I do believe Gon would be dropped off early in the series if it were not for Killua being by his side. Gon is a very wild character. Not saying Luffy's not wild, but I think Luffy, when you're talking about how well written both of these characters are, Luffy's importance to the One Piece world is just magnitudes higher than Gon's. Having the sun god Nika Devil Fruit, him burning down the flag of the world government at Enies Lobby, him challenging governments and fighting Yonko and doing all of these things. Luffy is literally moving mountains in the One Piece world. Gon wouldn't be able to even take like the first 3 steps if Killua wasn't there to make sure he didn't get hurt. I'm going with Luffy. Yusuke going up against Endo. I'm not even wasting time. It's Yusuke. Kuroko going up against Yuji. I love Kuroko, but it's definitely Yuji Itadori in this instance. Yusuke going up against Asta. Ooh, like I said, Asta's importance has definitely increased in the series, but Yusuke from the beginning of Yu Yu Hakusho has transformed so much towards the end. He was a high school delinquent that lost his life trying to save somebody. He was very misunderstood and still was towards the end of the series, but Yusuke was able to develop through training with Genkai, through meeting people like Kuwabara, Kurama, and Hiei. He was able to transform and become a more caring, even though he was still brash and arrogant at times, he still was a very caring character. Asta on the flip side was very important because obviously he became arcane and people needed him for his magic powers. But Asta's real main strength is really inspiring others to level up. When you look at how much Asta was able to power through and push through while everyone's looking down on him, everybody in the Black Bull said, you know what, it's time to lock in. Even outside the Black Bulls, you have Mimosa showing love. You have Yuno saying you're my rival. You have Leopold saying you're my rival. I mean, everybody around the entire Black Clover verse looks at Asta as that beaming light of hope. This one is so tough because I love both of these characters. I think I'm gonna go with Yusuke because he's a little bit more unique for me. Kaneki going up against Senku, y'all know me. I love Kaneki, but he is not Senku to me. I love Senku more. Deku going up against Luffy. This is a bad matchup for Deku because even though we love him, Luffy, like I said earlier, is the sun god. We gotta just call it what it is. Luffy's importance to One Piece is ridiculous. And obviously there's gonna be people out there that say that Luffy does not have the greatest character development. But character development really is only one measure of how well written a character is. Deku definitely has better character development than Luffy. I will say that. But all other aspects, I think Luffy is better. Luffy has literally been able to change the world and change how people act around him. Even Mihawk said it himself when he saw Luffy in Marineford, how Luffy was able to really get people around the world to join him without even trying to do so. It just happens to the will of Luffy, the will of D, however you want to say it. I'm going with Luffy. Alucard going up against Josuke. Alucard, you had a good run, but I'm definitely going with Josuke here. Inuyasha going up against Tanjiro. Inuyasha was a great written character, but he wasn't perfect. There are still instances where he was bugging out over Kikyo. When you're looking at Tanjiro, Tanjiro was on a mission and nothing was shaking him from that. For this, I think I'm gonna have to go with Tanjiro. Naruto going up against Boruto. Damn, father son. I'm going with Naruto though, respectfully. Sun Jinwoo going up against Goku. Is it time we have that conversation? Without a doubt, Goku is the most iconic one here. Now we're asking who's better written. As I pointed out, I believe that Sun Jinwoo is developing so much more as a character and he looks like he's already here, he's already him. But do I think Sun Jinwoo has enough to get over a character like Goku, who everybody looks at as anime Superman? I think I would need to read the manhwa for that. Before I gave him the grace over Giorno, but Goku is a different case altogether. I'm gonna go with Goku. Naruto going up against Yuji. Ooh, I think I'm gonna go with Naruto here, even though I know that seems a little bit basic. I think Naruto, with the talk no jutsu that everyone makes fun of him for, is one of his greatest strengths. Having ability to really understand where the villains are coming from and have an opportunity to actually change their hearts is something that I don't even know if Yuji can do. Naruto was able to tame Kurama and work alongside him. Obviously, we have to give credit to Killer B, but he was able to do that. Yuji ain't having no conversation with Sukuna about, listen, let's make amends. All right, that's not happening. I'm going with Naruto. Luffy going up against Tanjiro. Sorry, Tanjiro, you had a good run, but the One Piece bias is going crazy right now. Plus the fact that I do actually truly believe Luffy is a better written character than Tanjiro. So I know I'm gonna see it in the comments, One Piece bias, but I do think Luffy's better. Josuke going up against Goku. I think I'm gonna go with Josuke. Honestly, I do love Josuke's character because even though he was somebody that didn't really want to listen to what everybody had to tell him, when he knew it was getting serious, when he knew people were getting hurt, there was nothing you could really tell him to stop helping people. He was on a mission after that. We have to understand what kind of character we're dealing with. Shigechi, who is not a very likable character, ends up becoming friends with Josuke and Okuyasu. Even though they know he's not the perfect guy to be around, when Yoshikage Kira got a hold of him and dropped him off, Josuke and Okuyasu made sure that they went and found him and boxed with him. They knew they could not let this criminal get away, and that's what you have to respect with Josuke, because there's some characters that we've already passed that probably would have said, you know what, Shigechi, I mean, he was all right, but he wasn't that important. Josuke was sliding for everybody, no matter how big or small, no matter about any of that. When you look at Goku, he's more iconic than Josuke, but now we are going down to how well written they are. When you're looking at it, Josuke would never ever think about putting the world in a compromising position like Goku. And when you're talking about him protecting everybody and sliding for everybody, he would do the exact same thing that Goku would do if he had the powers. I'm gonna go with Josuke here. Yusuke going up against Senku. Oh man, this is tough. I love Yusuke's character, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Senku still. Senku is a complete character to me overall. He has wits, tenacity, he's trying to change the world with as little as possible, and he's literally forcing villains like Tsukasa and others to join him just by seeing what he's doing in the Kingdom of Science. He's not even really having conversations to convince them. He's just showing them, this is what we do. Would you like to be a part of this? And they're saying, you know what? We can't beat you. let's join you, and then they're actually having their lives improve through that process. As much as I love Yusuke, Senku's feats are just better and bigger. I'm going with Senku. Naruto versus Luffy, this was bound to happen. I love Naruto as a character, but I love Luffy's character just a little bit more. It is what it is. Y'all can say it's One Piece bias. Y'all can say I hate Naruto and all that stuff in the comments. That's cool, even though it's cap because Naruto is in my top 10 protagonists of all time, but I just have Luffy higher than Naruto, point blank period. Senku going up against Josuke. Josuke, you had a great run, but you went up against Senku. I'm going with Senku here. Senku versus Luffy. In the final round, honestly, for me, both these characters are in my top 10 protagonists of all time, so it does not matter either way. I believe both these characters are amazing, but they're amazing in different ways. Senku has tenacity, but he's also very calculated, and he won't make a move without being sure that there's a great chance that it will work out. Luffy doesn't care about any of that. Luffy will put his team in a compromising position. Luffy will do goofy things all the time. We understand that. A lot of people have criticized Luffy as a character because of that, and I'm not here to refute those points. I understand them, but there's something about Luffy having the ability to really change the world, even while acting as rash as he does, that makes me say that he's one of the greatest characters in all of anime manga. There's a lot of characters in anime that can pull off what Luffy does, but they can't do it the way he does it, especially when you look at the One Piece world when there's so much politics going on. There's a full functioning world. There's a lot of moving pieces and moving parts that Luffy has to deal with. Not only does he have to deal with his dad being one of the most wanted men in the entire One Piece world, his grandfather is literally one of the GOATs in the Marines. His crew has a high name. He holds one of the most important devil fruits in the series that the Gorosei want to get their hands on. All of these things are ridiculous, and Luffy moves through not caring about anything that can stop and get in his way from his goal. Senku is in a situation where he didn't have to deal with all these moving parts because the world was already stopped. He's in the process of trying to restore it, and people were getting in his way because they wanted to have control, but not over what Senku's able to do. Senku is just really too smart for the entire world. Luffy had people to deal with that were smarter than himself. Luffy had to deal with people that were stronger than he was. Luffy had to deal with loss. Luffy had to deal with the Straw Hat separation. Luffy had to see his brother die in his arms. I think there's just a different level when it comes to Luffy. From going with Ace dying in his arms to walking in front of Big Mom and Kaido on the roof in Wano, 10 toes down, not a bone in his body is shook. It's just unbelievable. And now he's boxing the best of the world in Egghead. Honestly, I'm not mad with either choice here. If I could click a button and where both of them win, I would click it. But my One Piece bias is gonna play a little bit of a role here, and the fact that I just think Luffy's a better written character. I'm gonna go with Luffy. Now, for the people out there that say, obviously Luffy won, Rob's One Piece bias, that's cool. But there are characters that I believe could have surpassed Luffy. I just don't think they were on this chart. Is everybody cool with that? We're all good? Good. You guys let me know down in the comment section below if you guys want to see side characters next, or maybe we could do a stronger character of another specific series outside of One Piece. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys want to see. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.